I found a small off-campus apartment that seemed too good to be true. The rent was surprisingly low, and the location was perfect. When I asked the landlord about it, he casually mentioned that there was another tenant living there, a quiet roommate who worked nights. I didn't think much of it at the time, grateful for the opportunity to save some money. The first few weeks in my new place felt ... strange. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something was off. I'd come home to find food missing from the fridge, cupboards left slightly open, and doors ajar when I was certain I'd closed them. I chalked it up to my absent roommate, figuring they must come and go while I was in class or asleep. But as time went on, I realized I never actually saw this mysterious roommate. Not once. There were no footsteps in the hallway, no light from the bathroom at odd hours, no muffled voices through the thin walls, just ... little traces that someone else was there. I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was being paranoid. Maybe our schedules just never aligned. Maybe they were incredibly stealthy. But the uneasy feeling in the pit of my stomach grew stronger with each passing day. One evening, I came home earlier than usual. The apartment was eerily silent as I walked through the front door. I made my way to the kitchen, planning to grab a quick snack before starting on some homework. That's when I heard it. A faint scraping sound coming from inside the wall. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. Then ... breathing, soft but unmistakable. I backed out of the kitchen slowly, my mind racing. This couldn't be normal. I fumbled for my phone and called the landlord, my voice shaking as I explained what I'd heard. His response was dismissive, almost annoyed. "Don't worry about it," he said. "Some tenants are just private. It's probably nothing." But I knew it wasn't nothing. That night, I barely slept, jumping at every creak and groan of the old building. The next morning, I dug out an old phone and set it up to record while I was out for the day. When I returned, I hesitated before pressing play, both dreading and needing to know what it might have captured. For hours, there was nothing but the ambient noise of the apartment. Then, at 2:37 a.m., my bedroom door creaked open. I watched in horror as a figure emerged from behind a loose panel in the wall. It was thin, almost skeletal, with pale skin that seemed to glow in the dim light. The figure stood there, motionless, for what felt like an eternity, just staring at where I would have been sleeping. My blood ran cold as the realization hit me. I never had a roommate. Someone or something had been living inside the walls of my apartment, waiting for me to fall asleep each night. And the landlord, he knew. He'd been renting this place out, fully aware of the nightmare lurking within its walls. I couldn't stay there another night. With shaking hands, I packed a bag and fled to a friend's place, my mind reeling from the horror of what I'd discovered. The next day, I confronted the landlord, showing him the footage. His face paled, but there was a flicker of recognition in his eyes. He knew exactly what I was talking about. "Look, kid," he said, his voice low and urgent. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. It's been happening for years. long before I took over this place. I thought if I just kept quiet, it would eventually stop, but it hadn't stopped. And now I was caught in the middle of something I couldn't begin to understand. I demanded answers, but the landlord clammed up, refusing to say anything more. He offered to refund my deposit and the last month's rent if I agreed to move out immediately and keep quiet about what I'd seen. Part of me wanted to go to the police to expose this twisted secret, but who would believe me? A college student claiming there was someone living in the walls. I'd sound crazy. And deep down, I was terrified of what might happen if I pushed too hard for answers. So I took the money and ran. I found a new apartment across town, triple-checking every inch of the place before moving in. But even now, months later, I can't shake the feeling of being watched. Every time I hear a creak in the night or notice something slightly out of place, my heart races. I've tried to move on, to forget about that horrifying discovery. But late at night, when the world is quiet, I can't help but wonder how many other apartments are out there harboring dark secrets within their walls. How many unsuspecting tenants are living alongside silent, unseen roommates, blissfully unaware of the horrors that surround them. The thought keeps me awake at night, staring at the walls of my new place, listening for any sign of movement. Because now I know the truth. Sometimes the most terrifying monsters aren't the ones that hide under your bed. They're the ones that hide behind your walls, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to reveal themselves. I've learned to trust my instincts now. If something feels off, it probably is. And if a deal seems too good to be true, there's usually a catch that might be far more sinister than you could ever imagine. So if you're ever looking for a new place to live, remember my story. Pay attention to the little things that don't add up. Listen to that nagging feeling in the back of your mind. And whatever you do, don't ignore the signs, because you never know who or what might be sharing your space, silently observing your every move from just beyond the drywall. As for me, I'm still trying to piece my life back together. I've changed my phone number, deleted my social media accounts, and done everything I can to disappear. But no matter how far I run, or how well I hide, I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched, that somewhere out there, in the shadows of another unsuspecting tenant's apartment, a pale figure is emerging from the walls, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And the worst part, I know I'm not the only one. There are others out there, living in blissful ignorance of the horrors that surround them. So, the next time you're alone in your apartment, and you hear an unexplained noise, or notice something slightly out of place, remember this. Not all roommates are visible, and some secrets are better left hidden within the walls.